Ugh. All right, welcome in. Today I'm here to talk about Quentin Johnston, wide receiver who just got drafted by the Chargers. And drafting QJ was just a great move for the Chargers. This is what well-run teams do. They have a plan in place. That way, when a very valuable veteran to the team leaves, as is the case with Keenan Allen, probably most likely after this upcoming season, they're not caught off guard with no replacement. And they have their franchise QB. So at this point, it's about how do we take it to the next level. Yes, they've made the playoffs with Herbert before, but I mean, I guess the thing they have to worry about now is how can we not blow 27-point leads. And yeah, there are questions amongst the Chargers coaching staff and, all that, and how do they improve upon their team so they can eventually go after the Chiefs. But yeah, this is what they did. They drafted QJ. This was just a great move. Keenan Allen, as I aforementioned, is probably done after this year. Yes, he is the type of receiver whose game is going to age well. He doesn't rely on his athleticism, so it'll be completely fine. But Mike Williams, on the other hand, had one great half season of football in his whole career, but he's inconsistent at best. So this is why the Chargers turned to Quentin Johnston. Give Herbert some weapons, and to be able to compete with the top guys of the AFC, the Chiefs, as I aforementioned, the Bengals, and the Bills too, but it looks like they're going backwards. You need the skill position players to do so. You need guys who can house a ball on any given play, and that's what QJ can do. Here you are, wide receiver out of TCU, 6'3", 210, 4'5". But there are multiple clips of him on Twitter bottling up corners that run anywhere from a 4'3" to a 4'4". So I'm inclined to believe that his game speed is even better than we think. And it's why I think he has more upside than a guy like JSN. He was my clear pre-draft wide receiver 3 in this class, and now he's my wide receiver 2, just because the capital difference between Mims and QJ is just too different for me to prefer Mims over QJ in any vacuum. So yeah, I'm taking QJ 10 out of 10 times, and it probably wasn't even a question to begin with. After the draft, that is. But pretty much every stat you look at from Quentin Johnston regarding how good he was as a deep threat is absolutely nuts. I'm going to show something on the screen right now that's absolutely incredible. Before I show it, I just want to remind everybody of the great college wide receivers we've had since 2019. A.J. Brown, DK, Debo, Jefferson, Lamb, Judy, Ayuk, Chase, Waddle, Devontae Smith, London, Olave, Wilson, JSN, and Quentin Johnston does not just outperform them in missed tackle / average depth of target. He laps the field in that combination. And the only guys who were able to sniff QJ after the catch of this class were Marvin Mims and Jalen Hyatt. And those guys had tons of, like 20-yard downfield targets that they just took to the house. And he's not even a great separator, at least not yet. He's a great man beater, but he's not like a good separator when it comes to zone and taking angles or whatever to get open, which can be coached out of him. He does have the natural fluidity and limberness to eventually work on that. And another thing we'll talk about later, but he's a big-bodied yak guy, and I'm a sucker for yak monsters who can break tackles. He almost ran a 4.5 flat, and at 6'3", 208, that's pretty solid. And I don't even care about the three-cone time because it's pretty much only shown to matter for pass rushers. I mean, he looks very twitchy, quick, and agile on film, so that's all I really care about, rather than his raw three-cone time at least. Like I said, that 4.5, it does not do justice to how insane his game speed is. People have docked him for his contested catch rate and saying that he plays smaller than his actual size, which is true, but hopefully that can be coached out of him, and I would much rather prefer a guy having stuff you cannot teach, like natural size, rather than have a guy be Calvin Austin, where yes, he can do everything, but his ceiling in the NFL is very limited due to his size, unfortunately. QJ is pretty much the opposite because he plays smaller than his size. Whether he fixes those issues or not, I mean, I can't really say that he's going to or that he won't. I can just say that I think he can. But even if he doesn't, he has more than enough athletic makeup to go off in the league. And he's playing on the Chargers. They want to throw the ball 50 times a game, especially with Kellen Moore coming in to be their offensive coordinator and replacing Joe Lombardi. Okay, so he was not good against zone on a snap-per-snap basis. However, he did average one college season of 3+ yards per route run against zone. So the hits against zone were absolutely massive. And this is what his monstrous upside versus his very, 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 very low floor will boil down to, is how does all that stuff get coached out of him? Well, one thing that people, not me, but other people seem to gloss over is that the Chargers' group of weapons has tons of questions beyond this year. Now, Eckler does count as a receiving option. We can't ignore him in that equation, but he's well past the running back age apex. We know what he is now, and he's not, and he can break at any point, like any running back, but especially running backs that are older in that 28, 29 range, they're much more prone to it than guys at other positions. Plus, Eckler this time does not have the benefit of Joe Lombardi, who turned Justin Herbert into Alex Smith by making him throw 9,000 checkdowns last year. Herbert and Moore will gloss over whatever sort of, bumps there are in QJ's profile, and they're going to make him productive just by way of sheer volume. There is an outside chance that they could sign DeAndre Hopkins, but it looks like he's headed to New England. And this past season at TCU, Quentin Johnston just did not put up the stats that I guess we would have hoped for because, one, he missed a lot of time. He wasn't playing 100% for a lot of the season. And I've seen people try to dock him for TCU's national championship performance, and I just can't hold that against him. The O-line and Max were just so outplayed that QJ never got a shot, and against Michigan, he torched them all day. He looked like everything we thought he could be. He took a slant, I'm pretty sure, to the house, and he made it look effortless. People are going to be hesitant because of Jalen Reagor and Josh Doctson and other guys that went to TCU, and my response is that if you're going to knock TCU for all the massive wide receiver busts they've had in the draft, then you should knock the entire Big 12 because, yes, we have guys like Reagor, Doctson, Corey Coleman, Devin Duvernay, Denzel Mims, but the hits are guys like CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Lockett, and Tyreek Hill. Despite this, people said he can't separate, which against man coverage is not true. In Matt Harmon's perception database, he beat man coverage at a rate of 74%, which puts him up there in the past 3 draft classes with some of the elite wide receivers that have come out. So what does this mean for 2023 and beyond? Well, like I said, Keenan Allen is probably on his way out after this year. Granted, he is the wide receiver who will age well with his game, but it depends on how good his production is and whether or not the Chargers think he should stay around. Mike Williams will probably stick around too, but this is a lot of good opportunity for QJ to be good right away. Williams is very, very inconsistent. He is also often injured, and Keenan and Mike Williams have not been a model of consistency, especially regarding health, throughout the past few years, and it seems like all the stars are aligning for QJ to be incredible. You got drafted to a team with a definitive, at very, very worst, top 5 quarterback in the league. And if you can't succeed in this ecosystem, then there's no other ecosystem that you're going to succeed in. I mean, I would say Kansas City, but it seems like they ruin every wide receiver they touch. And like I said, the athletic makeup is just more than enough for me to overlook any flaws that potentially could be in his game, any flaws that people have about him, being able to or not being able to beat zone. And yeah, so that does it for me. That is pretty much my evaluation on Quentin Johnston, and I will see you next time. Peace.